don't know if people consider this cheating, but I've been reading other reviews on this game to see how wildly different everyone's opinions are. If I see them all saying the same thing and I disagree, then I think to myself, maybe I'm missing something. But in this instance, I figured out what everyone else has been missing. This is a drinking game. The rules are to get through the level as quickly as possible, and as soon as you do, take a drink. And for every 5 seconds you wait on the loading screen, you take another drink. I was 30 days in, and the notes I was taking down in my book started to become illegible scribbles. This is not compulsory and it still stands as a good game, but damn does it make for a fucking good time when you have mates and you're all drinking to the game. This is a good game, but as I sat down and tore the game apart, I couldn't conclude a strong recommendation. So the conclusion was that this game is more than the sum of its parts. Rampage was released in the arcades in 1986 and then ported to the most consoles of its time, including the Atari 2600, the Atari 7800, the Atari Lynx, Atari 8-bit, Atari ST, Commodore 64, PC, ZX Spectrum, Amstrad, NES, and Sega Master System. Rampage had a few sequels and remakes. This is one of them, and we're going to be focusing on the Sega Saturn version. Perhaps people disagree with the fact that they've not added anything new to the game, which could be where all the hate is coming from. I mean, it is ultimately the same game mechanic from 1986, and maybe people were expecting more. Be fucked if I can see what more you can do with a big-ass animal destroying buildings. The story starts with a company called Scum Labs, who do experiments on people, and surprise, surprise, shit got out of hand.
While it's true that there have been no serious side effects reported so far, I think we need to stop production before—
You have a choice of 3 experiments, and the purpose is to destroy all the buildings to progress onto the next level. You can choose from 3 characters, George, Lizzie, and Ralph. As they add up your points at the end of every level, you have a hot lab assistant who for some reason is calling all the shots from a phone, telling the army to fuck me up because God knows what would happen if I were to come into contact with other chemicals.
Telling what effect another toxin might have.
Well, I found out for a brief second. I loved the version on Nintendo 64 and Master System back in the day, but apart from the fact that I spent $20 too much for the game, I was very keen to find out how good this version was. The presentation's alright, and it's really a reflection of its time. I know it sounds like a real daft thing to say, but the look of the game seems more early 90s than nearly any other game I've reviewed. The graphics are pretty good for what they are. I mean, they're not amazing or stand out, but they do fit in with the aesthetics of the game. Sounds alright. Sound effects are actually pretty damn good, but the music itself, it's alright. Music from 90s games either falls into dancey techno or what I like to call game rock. It's such a cliche of music that wouldn't sound out of place in an 80s hair metal band that now play rock. And this falls into the latter category. Some people have said the gameplay here is total shit, but those critics are talking out of their arseholes. I know what bad controls are, because every time I get a game with bad controls, I already lump it in with the shit game crowd, and it has a lot to do to win me back. There is a slight delay with your controls, but it's not too bad all in all. It doesn't take much to come to grips with the controls, and in fact, not long to make those controls work in your favour. This part falls pretty flat. Every single level looks more or less exactly like the last one that you just completed. Once you've done a few levels, that's pretty much it until you've dominated the world. The only difference is when you uncover a flag in a building and you enable World Tour, you get to piggyback an airplane, and those levels are different. But really, is this a complaint? I mean, people invest not only a lot of time, but a lot of money in first-person shooters, which is ultimately going around and shooting people. And that's a pretty basic game mechanic, much in the way that you would destroy buildings and fight off those who attack you in this game. Would I recommend it? Yeah, but only just. I don't really see longevity in this game unless you like destruction. Some people like to watch the world burn, and those people would love a game like this. The only real reason I recommend this game is mostly from nostalgia, but also think this version in particular cops too much flack for what it is. As always, thank you very much for watching. Click on the TV to see the last review, and click on the name underneath the television if you'd like to subscribe.